are we here and what are we doing? And first of all, before we do anything, 30K is insane. I mean, in only a few months, we've managed to obtain 30,000 plus subscribers. Today though, let's take a trip to the Solomon Islands, specifically the raid on Makin Island, the very first mission in Call of Duty World at War. The Americans' goal here was to create a diversionary raid with the aim of distracting Japanese forces and forcing them to send reinforcements, basically preventing those soldiers' use in the Guadalcanal campaign. And that's a campaign that was going on for 7 months and costed the US about 7,000 soldiers. Now for this operation on Makin Island, the US wanted to deploy a special unit, commando style raiders that were made specifically for this purpose. This would be the Marine Raiders, the 2nd Raider Battalion of Lieutenant Colonel Evans Carlson. These guys were going to be deployed in the exact type of operation that they were made for. On the morning of August 9th, the opportunity to put these methods to the test has arrived. We're looking at about 211 men that are going to depart from Pearl Harbor on the cruiser submarines. Of course, during the intro of this mission, you can also see the 2 submarines that they're talking about. We're now heading towards the unknown target, Makin Atoll.
Little more than sand, trees, and a small Japanese military base.
Now we're entering this island with the goal of capturing a village and destroying as many vital installations as possible. It took about 4,000 miles of travel by submarine, and the vessels even drove in separate zigzag courses the entire time. Eventually arriving on the night of August 16th, Carlson's raiders jumped into about 20 rubber boats early the next morning. Of course, it's not going to be super easy because you have a lot of wind and the current from the water is pushing everything. They do successfully wind up making it to the beach around 5 a.m. One of the groups moved forward, capturing a government house very quickly without any resistance. The other group of guys set up an ambush, creating a fire pocket that would basically trap unsuspecting Japanese. Around 6:30 in the morning, the Japanese did walk into the trap and the raiders opened fire at close range. Of course, in this situation, they took out most of the enemy. Now, even though this was successful, there was well camouflaged snipers that would be able to pin the raiders down for about 2 hours. As American casualties grew, the Japanese surprisingly executed 2 banzai charges, which resulted in most of the Japanese deaths. So basically what you're telling me is that they brought knives to a gunfight. Now of course the raiders didn't have no automatic machine guns or anything like that, they just had Springfields, but surely in my opinion that sounds like a horrible idea. You can't really blame them though, because supposedly they usually were poorly trained and armed. They apparently also seen this tactic work against the Chinese, so of course in their heads this was a valid technique to use. Later on, the Nautilus was ordered to open fire on the lagoon and even unexpectedly sunk 2 Japanese ships. By this time, the Japanese reported the invasion to higher headquarters and air attacks were being prepared, with 14 planes releasing bombs on the island for an entire hour. With nighttime approaching, Carlson withdrew in a very disorganized fashion, which me personally, I can't blame him. Bombs are dropping, you got enemy snipers that are camouflaged, people are running at you with knives. I would want to get out of there as quick as possible. While a lot of men do make it back to the submarines, Carlson and his 30 remaining men move into the lagoon's entrance. They eventually reach what's called King's Wharf and they ignite 1,000 drums of aviation fuel and destroy a Japanese radio station. With bombs continuing to drop, Carlson and his men eventually do make it back to the submarines, where they finally start the trip back to Pearl Harbor. And at the end of the day, Carlson's raiders suffered 21 losses, 17 injured, and even 9 men stranded and then executed. So all in all, the raid did fail to divert Japanese reinforcements to the Gilberts. This is because the Japanese quickly realized how small scale this really was and didn't feel the need to send a lot of men here. Hey, hopefully you guys did enjoy the deep dive though on World at War's first mission. And one more time, thank you so much for 30,000 subscribers. That is insane to think about. And like I said on the Vendetta video, I'm no expert when it comes to things like these. I'm learning just as well as anyone else is watching. So whenever you leave comments with information and you help me out, I appreciate that because it helps me better understand, and even other people that are watching can better understand. With that being said though, I will see y'all in the next video.